Thank you so much for coming. I know it's a long drive for some of you. I'm John Morris. I've been contacting you, so it's really great to meet everyone. So today what we'll do is we have Catherine here. She'll introduce herself in a second. She's going to run you through the program. We also have a student from last year, Clara. Say hello. And what we'll do is we'll hear from her first. We'll do the presentation. We'll talk about self-care and health. We'll do some roommate stuff. You'll meet your roommates, and we'll do some role playing. And then you'll hear from your faculty. So it's going to be kind of a long meeting. Stay with us. It's all for your benefit when you arrive in London. So do you want to? Well, I guess we can go from left to right. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Suzanne Uhl for those taking speech classes. So nice to meet you. Look forward to getting to talk to you.
Hi, I'm Steve Torok. I'm teaching the music classes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Clara. I'm a past student from last year.
I'm Catherine. You'll hear a lot from me, so I'll keep it brief.
I'm Sheryl Samoff. I'll be teaching sociology. Look forward to meeting all of you.
Okay. So maybe we can just start off if you want to tell us, I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. And maybe, Catherine, you can help us out, too, with some questions since you were with her last year. So, what's a good question to start with?
So, coming in from California to London,
There you go. That's good.
what were your expectations, and how were your expectations met and managed?
I don't know. I try not to have too many expectations because I feel like a lot of times if you have expectations, it's different. And so I think the best way is to just go in without expectations, which I know is difficult because then it's like anything could happen, and to just always, I think, let yourself be stretched, let yourself explore more, let yourself see places and do things that you never really thought you'd do. Go see theater if you're not a theater person. Go to a football or soccer game, what we call it. And just try different things because you don't know if you'll like it. And it's kind of just do whatever you can to immerse yourself in that environment. Try to get, what helped me was I actually tried to get more connected to communities that were there and to actually experience people from London and kind of get to know them more, because I think that was more enriching. Because in your classes, it's just students from California, and so I think it can be easy to get in your comfort zone and to just surround yourself with Americans, but to just, I don't know.
Yeah, brilliant.
Go beyond that.
Yeah.
I feel like, was there another?
And what do you think was a highlight?
A highlight? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a theater person, so I loved all the theater, and if you're into theater, there's this app called Todaytix that gives you all of the amazing discounts. So, and also Catherine probably knows all of the best ways to get deals, and also there's a magazine called Time Out, which is amazing, and me and my roommate always tried to venture, and there's a lot of free food in London, guys. Like, probably every weekend be like, oh, they're having an anniversary or something, or pubs will be, giving out beer. It's amazing. Yeah, definitely a highlight for food theater. It was really fun.
And what do you think, I think this is like a good way to sum it up, what do you think you came back with that you didn't go out there with? So what did you learn, or did you come back with a skill or a new aspiration or something?
I feel like I definitely caught the travel bug because, so definitely keep traveling. Because I got to go to Paris and see Italy, and I think it was really cool just seeing how other people live. I think was interesting, and seeing like all the similarities and differences, and kind of just learning how to appreciate people and their backgrounds in a totally new way. I think is maybe.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And then piggybacking on that statement, is there anything as an American that was very different for you, or something that they could consider now and adjust? Like a cultural difference that was a big difference for you in London?
I think just the way they say, like the different words they have for things was maybe an adjustment, because they sometimes understanding them was just complicated because they do have different words than what we say. And I think actually it's coming to my mind, probably getting used to pounds was really difficult. And I remember there was one time I felt really rushed and I was like freaking out because like just getting used to their currency was probably
Okay.
a difficult thing
Yeah.
to get used to.
How about being in a big city? Because London is a big, fast-moving city where, you know, Los Angeles is slow compared to.
No, I feel like LA is still pretty fast.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I go into LA quite often, but
Okay.
I think that is probably getting used to the tube.
Mhm.
It probably took me a week to get used to the tube and the travel schedule.
Mhm.
I think,
And walking.
and
a lot.
walking.
Yeah.
I actually miss walking.
Yeah,
I mean, I
walking's
say I
good.
miss walking, but I don't think I'm gonna like walk more.
Right.
But you do walk a lot,
Mhm.
for sure.
And do you remember when you were in this room before you left? Was there anything you wish you knew before you went that you learned later? You know, something you wish you knew beforehand, before you departed.
I'm sure there is. Probably Today Ticks is one.
Uh-huh.
Time Out, which I told them about.
What is it?
Time Out is a magazine.
We have it
Right.
here too. Time Out LA.
Yeah, I've tried using it here. I don't
So
think
like
it's
an
as
arts
good as
magazine that tells you what's coming up. And
Yeah, I'll
that
tell
kind
you all
of
about
stuff.
it. Don't worry.
Yeah, you should have like a slide. It's a thing. Yeah, where it just tells you different events that are happening that week and what the locals are doing. Me and my roommate ended up going outside of London to this like little farm festival thing, and so it's random, but it's really cool. It's a good way to see what's happening.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We'll ask her some questions later, and we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, so as John said, thank you so much for coming, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you here in sunny Glendora. It makes change from London, I'm sure. So as you said, my name is Catherine. I'll be one of your student advisors in London with you. So you see me now, you'll see me in a month or two as well. So don't worry, I'm not going to change. So what we're going to be covering in my lovely slides here is sort of what to expect when you get to London, what sort of events to look out for, things to already start thinking about before you get to London, travelling while you're in London, housing, safety, London as general. Hi, come here, welcome. And don't worry if you think you've had it all or you've forgotten something. We have an orientation once we are in London as well. So don't feel like you have to remember absolutely everything. As John said, it's being recorded. So that puts me under some sort of pressure, I'm sure. So London. London is my hometown. I'm from London, so I'm incredibly biased when it comes to this city. As it says there in 3 words, we're vibrant, exciting and dynamic. And I can say that's definitely true. But you know, you can't sum up London in just one word, so let's add some more: diverse and multicultural. London is amazing for culture, for multiculturalism and diversity. You'll be in London and sort of English is not often heard because you're hearing over 100 different languages every day. It's amazing. It's definitely a global city, so I'm so excited for you to experience that. As well as that, it's got an amazing history. So pictured there is St. Paul's Cathedral, an amazing history by itself. I'll let you discover that when you get there. I used to be a tour guide, so I can talk about this thing for months if I could. But yes, we were founded by the Romans in AD 53, so we've got a lot going on. We're very, very old, but very, very fast paced, as John was saying. We have a lot of good transport links and things like that, something that I'm kind of adjusting to here in Glendora. I might try the Gold Line later, but we'll see. But yes, in London there is so much to do and see, and I'm sure even though you're here for a couple of months in London, you won't be able to do it all, so you have to come back for sure. When you come to London, you'll be arriving on Friday the 6th of September, not long now. These are just a couple of major dates to have in your mind at the moment. So the day after you arrive, you will have your orientation with us, the AIFS staff, followed by a sightseeing tour of London. So you'll have your orientation about the programme and then you'll get orientated by a bus. It's great fun. Worth noting that on Saturday, September the 28th, there is the class trip to the Houses of Parliament. So this is the only mandatory weekend class trip that you'll have. So make sure that you're not planning anything on this weekend because it's already planned for you, the Houses of Parliament. We also have the optional Scotland weekend coming up in October and the optional Seville weekend there in November, and I'll cover a bit more about that later. And then, of course, all good things have to come to an end. Your programme finishes there on the 29th of November. In terms of travelling, so when you're travelling on the day, make sure you're getting to the airport at least 3 hours before your departure. You need 3 things with you. I mean, you can have your luggage definitely, but these 3 things will get you to London. Your ticket, so your e-ticket confirmation, you'll need to show that to the check-in desk at the airport. Your passport, of course, and your immigration letter. So they won't let you through security without your passport, and you won't get into the UK as a student without your immigration letter. We'll be passing those out later today as well, so make sure you get your immigration letter before you leave today. In terms of your luggage, so you'll have a carry-on, of course, and checked baggage. So I would recommend, although you want to bring everything with you, we have lots of things in London too that we have in LA. So make sure that you only bring 1 checked bag if you can. Try not to stretch it any more than that, because you are responsible for your luggage. You'll have to wheel it or push it or carry it for the entire time that you're in London and you're using that checked bag, okay? So try and pack light if you can. It makes your life easier once you're in London. Pack a separate set of clothes and medication in your carry-on. This is in case your luggage gets lost, but hopefully that won't happen. And let us know that if you are delayed. So you can do that either by calling us or giving us an email, and we'll give you all our contact information in emails and things like that. So 3 things though: be patient. You know, it's a big travel day. You're going halfway across the world. Listen to different announcements and things like that, and relax. It's all casual. You're just crossing the Atlantic on an airplane. It's all fine. In terms of the flight though, so some of you will be on the AIFS group flight. You'll know if you are. So this is going to be on Thursday the 5th of September with Virgin Atlantic, very nice, from LAX. And you arrive the following day on September the 6th at 10:35. So an AIFS representative, if it's not me, it'll be one of my colleagues, will be waiting for you at the airport holding a lovely AIFS sign, and we'll transfer you to your housing. We'll do this by a group flight transfer. So if you're on the group flight, you automatically get the group flight transfer on a coach or a bus, but we call it a coach. And it's a private coach to your accommodation. So if you're in the residence, that will be Courtfield Gardens. Or if you're in a homestay, you'll be going to Dilk House, our base in Bloomsbury. And then we'll be sending you to your homestays in prepaid private taxis. If you're not on the group flight, but you would like to get on the group transfer, please ask. Don't just assume that you can turn up on the day and get on the bus. Please ask us. So send this request to studentinfo@aifs.co.uk. We'll make sure that if you can get on the transfer, that we can try and arrange that for you. Or if you won't be able to make the transfer, that we'll give you clear directions from the airport to your housing. Make sure that if you haven't booked your flights already, that you are arriving at either the apartment or Dilk House at 4 p.m. latest. That ensures that there'll be a staff member there for your arrival. It's worth mentioning that if you are an own travel and own transportation student, that you let us know your flight itinerary or your movements on the day so we know when to expect you. And again, if you wanted to take that group transfer on the coach, it would be an additional £5 in cash. But make sure that you're checking with us in the office to see if you can make that transfer. It's not very complicated, but we all have to make sure all the times and stuff are all in line before everyone gets on the coach. If that was a bit complex, don't worry. Just feel free to send us an email if you have any questions about that. Now, immigration. Immigration is what's going to get you into the lovely UK, the United Kingdom. So as I said, you'll receive your immigration letter today. It's very important that you hold on to this at all times. So important that you keep it with your passport. So you know your passport, that's an important thing. Keep your immigration letter with it. If you have a US passport, then you will enter the UK with a short-term student visa. This is stamped into your passport on arrival. The way that you get this stamp is that you show your letter and your passport to an immigration officer, okay? Don't use the e-gates. So the e-gates, the things where they will try and direct you because it speeds up the flow of people, but protest, don't go through the e-gates, go through to see an immigration officer. You must get a student visa stamp in your passport by this official, or else you'll be entering the country on a wrong visa, and you won't be able to study in the UK. So it's very important that you see an immigration officer. So be patient and be prepared for lines. So this is what you're going to be looking for. Instead of going through like the Swift businessman there on the right with the EU passport gates, don't do that. Go to an immigration officer, show them your letter, and you'll get the right stamp. So we are required by UKVI or UK Visa and Immigration to keep copies of your passports with the correct student visa stamp. They're kept very safely, so there's no problems there. Bring your passport to orientation and we'll make a copy of that stamp. We'll check that you have the right stamp, or if not, we'll talk to you about it. But if you don't have the correct student visa stamp, you'll have to exit and re-enter the country at your own expense. So it's really important that you get the correct stamp straight away. And once you start getting more confident and want to travel and leave the UK and come back in, always make sure you have that immigration letter with you so that you get the right stamp and things like that, as I say. So once you've done all that, you've got through immigration, everyone's happy, you've arrived on the 6th, then we kick off with orientation on the 7th. So as I said, you might hear similar things to what I'm saying today, but it's better to hear it twice than not at all. Your orientation will be with us, the AIFS staff, on Saturday morning, remembering your passport, and then followed by that London sightseeing coach. You'll have Sunday to sort of get over the jet lag, and then on Monday, classes will begin. So that's very exciting. Remember, you are studying abroad, not just here for holiday. That same week, on the 12th, you'll have your first BLC, or British Life and Culture field trip, just so you know that there's stuff happening that first week. And then on Friday, September the 13th, we'll have our cultural workshop. So this is where you'll talk to me and my colleagues about the differences in our cultures, which is always really fun. Like Clara was saying, we have amazing words for different things, as well as tackling things like culture shock. You know, you come to the UK very excited, raring to go, but you might come across some obstacles that sort of set you back, just general cultural differences, like you might not find your favourite food and things like that. So this workshop is to sort of prepare you for anything that may come up. It's also worth noting that if you're on the cultural package, you'll be going to Buckingham Palace as your first event on that Friday. Fun fact, I used to work at Buckingham Palace. So you're here in London, you'll be doing your studying, but where will you be staying? So if you're in a homestay, your homestay will be located in North London. To say London's very big and it's known by its regions, north, south, east, west. You guys are going to be in north. It's mainly shared twin rooms with another AIFS student on your programme that you'll meet today, and shared bathrooms with access to the kitchen and space to store groceries. So you may have a shelf in the fridge, you might have a separate fridge. Every homestay is unique and you'll all have different experiences with our homestay families. I've visited many of our homestay families. They're all lovely. They're all the kind of people that you want to be homestay families, I'll tell you that. In terms of your breakfast, you'll get a daily continental breakfast. So that's cereal, toast, tea and coffee. Don't expect a full English breakfast with sausages and beans and eggs. It's very much a grab and go kind of deal. So as I say, toast, tea and coffee. If you're missing peanut butter, don't worry, just go and buy your peanut butter and you can use that on your toast. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. In terms of laundry, so you'll be able to do 1 load of laundry a week. It's very common in the UK to not have a tumble dryer. Having a tumble dryer is a luxury. So it might be that the laundry is a lot smaller than you're used to, but these are general things that you'll learn to love. In terms of your commute, the commutes from North London range from about 40 minutes to an hour. This is very normal from North London, from any part of London. Only the Queen lives in central London and she's got Buckingham Palace as her address. So North London are there with real families. My commute's similar time from South London. In terms of bedding, bedding is provided, but towels are not. So you might want to either bring your own towel or buy a towel once you're in the UK. Plenty of shops to do that. And Wi-Fi is provided, of course. How can we live without Wi-Fi? But just be aware that US Wi-Fi is like super fast compared to ours in the UK. Don't know what went wrong there. So just make sure that you're prepared for that mentally. You might not be able to stream as much as you usually do. Netflix might have to wait. But as I say, you're prepared for that now. In terms of your homestays, host details and your roommates as well will be sent at least 2 weeks before arrival, so you get to know your hosts before you arrive. It's a really good idea to introduce yourself to them before you arrive so that they get an idea of who you are and you get an idea of who they are. It's nice to bring a small gift, maybe something local, so they can see where you're from. They've had lots of American students over the years, so keep that in mind. Maybe try and make your gift especially unique. I know some families have like 10 Texas cutting boards, so maybe mix it up a little bit. And of course, we know that it can be a bit awkward. You know, you're going into someone's home. You may not have lived with anyone else but your family, or may not have lived with anyone else but yourself. So going into this new environment is definitely going to be a challenge at first, but these people know what they're doing and they're there to make you feel welcome. There are a couple of guidelines, of course, when you go into a homestay. Use your common sense. That's always a good one. That's a lesson for life. Be polite and respectful to your hosts, and communication is key. Absolutely, communication is key, not just with your host family, but with us, with your roommates. Often if there's any sort of misunderstandings, it can be solved with a nice chat. These people are lovely and they really just want to make sure that your time in London is as good as it can be. So never be afraid to talk to them about what's going on in London, or if you're unhappy about something, talk to your homestay family. I'm sure Clara can give you more information about that too. Now moving on from homestays to apartments. So the apartments are in Courtfield Gardens, very posh sounding. It's in a very posh area of London, Kensington, the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. It's quite something. They are mostly twin and triple bedded studios, but this is where I want to clarify that studios in the UK again are different to the US. So a studio here might be quite spacious, quite big, different rooms. A studio in the UK is everything in one room, very contained. Obviously the toilet's not in the room, but there's a separate toilet, that sort of thing. Roommate info, of course, you'll get that today, which is very exciting. And as it says here, you're in the Kensington area of London. I already emphasised it's quite posh, very well to do, very well located in terms of public transport. It's on 2 lines, the District line and the Piccadilly line, which you'll grow to love. So you can get roundabout London really, really super simple, really quickly. As I said, the studio sort of setup of Courtfield Gardens, there are shared kitchenettes, so kind of small condensed kitchens and a shared bathroom with your roommate. There's also a common room area, so you can use that to study, use the Wi-Fi in there, maybe get a little study group going. But once you're in there, you know, make sure that you know that linen and utensils are supplied, but not towels, not toiletries, toilet paper or cleaning products. So it's like your own little apartment. You've got to be a bit self-sufficient, but worth noting that there is toilet paper on arrival, so you can breathe a sigh of relief about that. The rooms are a little different from each other, but that comes from the fact that the building is very old. As you can see, it's a big building, and it's actually 2 old buildings next to each other that have been converted into one big apartment building, which is very common in London. As I say, it's a great location. And again, the Wi-Fi coming in there. Wi-Fi, of course, is provided, but it will be slower speeds than what you're used to. If you ever find Wi-Fi is really frustrating or something like that, there are plenty of Starbucks too that have free Wi-Fi. So keep that in mind when you want to do your studying and homework and things like that. I mentioned the laundry for homestays. So in terms of laundry for apartments, there is free laundry, which is an absolute luxury living in central London. It is, you know, comes at a price here. There are only 2 laundry machines, so 2 washers, 2 dryers. So that may mean that there is congestion at times, but just, you know, make sure you're being mindful of the other people in the building, taking turns and things like that. If you find that you need to go somewhere the next day and you haven't done your laundry and you start stressing out, there are loads of laundrettes around the area too, so don't worry about that. In terms of roommates, we'll talk about this later with some examples of things that may come up. But you know, the friends on friends, even they were friends, but they got a bit on each other's nerves sometimes. So make sure that you set ground rules when it comes to your roommate. Know that storage space is limited in the apartments and in the homestay accommodation. So that comes in with the 1 checked bag kind of rule. Be mindful of each other's space. If you have an issue with your roommate, don't suffer in silence. Come to AIFS, come to us, we'll talk about it. But make sure that you do this as early as possible. If you've got an issue or you've got something that's wrong and you let it fester and fester and fester and you don't do anything about it until 5 weeks later, there's not much we can do if you haven't sorted it out very early on. So it's always good to start processes early. As I said, communication is really important, not just with homestay families, not just with us, but with your roommates too. You guys are all a team while you're with us in London, little SCAL team. So make sure that you are communicating with each other. It will make your time in London feel like a dream. But of course, we'll have a little role play session after this to go through more roommate issues. Yeah, please.
Do you have any questions about the homestay or the apartments? Yes.
Shall I go? Yes,
Yeah.
sir, at the front.
May I please see the slide for North London
Of
as far
course.
as the address or where?
Aha. So you won't have your address straight away, so you'll get your addresses sent to you when you know who your homestay family is. The locations, there is like one big road where there's several homestays on that road. If not, they're all within one bus of each other. It's really well connected by public transport.
And also, as far as the laundry situation, I know
Yeah.
it's only once a week.
Yeah.
But if we need more than one load, is there areas around there?
Of course, yeah. London is rife with laundrettes, don't worry.
And I would say, like, you know, we don't do it here, but a lot of people in Europe, you know, you wear a t-shirt twice. Like, you wear, you know, you're not,
It's cooler, you don't
It's-
sweat as much.
you don't need to, like, wash it every time if it's not dirty. I mean, I think that's pretty common, you know. And then do you have any advice for them about homestay? Or did you do homestay or the apartment?
I did homestay, yeah.
You did homestay.
Mhm.
And did you make meals? Did you use their
We
kitchen?
did, actually, yeah. It
Yeah,
was,
stand.
I got really fortunate because my roommate was into meal prepping, and so we actually saved a lot of money meal prepping.
Huge way to say.
Yeah, she got me into it because like right when we met each other, maybe like the first or second day, she showed me this video of this Londoner who made a video about just only spending 20 pounds, I think, on food for a week.
Wow.
And so that was kind of our goal, and so we're like, okay, we each have 20 pounds, so 40 pounds total, and I don't think we ever exceeded 40 pounds, honestly, because we really worked together, and so I think hopefully you can find someone who kind of like the same stuff, and I'm super like just go with the flow. She was more like her way, which was totally fine, but I think we totally saved a lot of money thinking ahead and being able to create like little lunches so we didn't spend a whole bunch of money because we wanted to do other extra
Spend your money traveling or something like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, so there's also an app called Olio too, which if you're interested about it, it's a way to get free food in London. They also kind of have it here, but if you're into that, because I'm not going to explain to everybody, but if you're into that, come to me and I'll tell you about Olio. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Saving money, making your own food
Yes.
is
Yeah.
the key. Because if you're eating out all the time, you're going to spend so much money.
Yeah.
So I think what she did and what roommates usually do is they shop together,
We did
split
shop
the
together.
bill.
Yeah, split the bill.
probably making a lot of pastas and
Yeah.
expensive
Pasta
things.
is life.
Bringing lunch
Yeah,
to
basically.
school,
Mhm.
probably bring your lunch to school. You'll save tons of money that way if you budget yourself.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
even get containers over there. It's kind of like our equivalent of 99-cent store. They call it Poundland, and you could get containers there and super cheap. Yeah, just a good.
Anything else specifically about apartment or homestay? Yeah.
How long is the commute from the apartment to the
It's about 45 minutes, like max sometimes. Of course, it depends if there's delays on the line or anything like that. But no, it's very, very speedy.
It goes by really fast too.
Yeah.
Like
Get a lot of reading done.
Yeah, you do. And something else to say. Oh, also sometimes the bus isn't like if it's walking or taking the bus. I mean, you can gauge and figure it out, but sometimes walking is actually faster than taking the bus really early because there have been a couple times where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take the bus today, and then 3 will pass me because they're just so packed. It all ends up working out, but just something to think about of walking alternatives instead of just relying on the bus if you can. Yeah. Also, what she said, communication is 100% key. I'd say I was definitely fortunate to have a homestay family where they were a little bit more open, and so I even asked them questions about London, about culture, about their lives, about their family, and kind of just getting more, knowledge about just another culture, another way of living. So
It's definitely immersive.
Yeah,
I think it's great. I think it's so good. They're so ready to share their experiences as well.
they really are.
But if you're not into that, that's cool too. If
Yeah.
you get there on the first day and you're jet lagged and you just want to go to sleep, they'll respect that. They won't sit you there, make you talk to them about your life. Where are you from? Oh, Glendora, great. Like they're not going to do
No,
that. They're going to
they're not at all.
respect your boundaries, of course.
Yeah. But if you are, don't be too shy to ask questions.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're humans.
Yeah.
I have a question. On the laundry, is the laundry there at the homestay in?
Yes. So like a washing machine.
Oh, they do
Yes, yes. It'll just be a lot smaller than usual.
And
Yes.
no dryer.
No dryers, as I said, tumble dryers are usually like a luxury. I don't know anyone that has a washer and a dryer. Sometimes it's combo.
Do you hang it up outside or in the?
Yeah,
what
if
did
it's a
you
sunny
do?
day, you can hang it up, or mostly you can hang it up on dryers, like drying racks in the home. So I know lots of families will provide people with drying racks, so you can just hang your laundry all in one place.
Question on the eating situation.
Yeah.
Do we have access in homestays to actual kitchen?
Yes, definitely. So that's a really good point. So in the homestay, as I said, you get that grab and go breakfast, but you do have access to their kitchen. It's just making sure that you communicate with them. When's a good time for you to cook? When's a good time for them to cook? If they're having a dinner party and you're there like cooking pancakes, they might be a bit, weirded out by that. So just make sure you're communicating with them. They might find it completely fine for you both to like cook at the same time, like MasterChef style or something like that. But communication. Talk to them as soon as you get there. If that's something you're worried about, just be like, hi, laying it on the table. I love to cook. When's good for you? Definitely.
I have a question for you. On the bedding,
Bedding,
is
yeah.
the bedding the responsibility of the students to do their own bedding? So
In the homestay or in the apartment? In the homestay? So in a homestay, usually what happens, I'm sure you'll agree, that every homestay family has different setups. So they may be like, yep, just strip your bed once a week and I'll wash it for you. Or if they're like, oh, you're going traveling, yeah, is it okay if I grab your bedding? That sort of thing. So again, that's a good question to ask when you get there, like, hi, what's the bedding situation? They'll be happy to get it out there straight away.
Okay, I didn't know if that was included in where they had to make sure they were washing
Yeah.
their bedding along with that one load.
Yes, no, it definitely depends on the family, but for the most part, they should be washing.
And in the
Yeah.
apartments.
And in the apartments, is you guys in the apartments, you've got no homestay family there, so it's up to you guys to make your laundry arrangements. Don't not do your laundry, okay? Do your laundry. Cool. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. We can talk about those later. But moving on to my favourite slide, the cultural differences. We all speak English, there'll be no problem, that's what they all say. But as Clara pointed out, language is such an amazing thing. We all speak English, but our English is different to your English and your is different. A big one that I found, I should say that I studied in Northern Arizona University for a year. I visited America quite a lot, so I found these like the opposite way around to you guys. I was talking to people and they had no idea what I was saying. I'd say, please, could I have a bottle of water? Who didn't understand me right there? All I want is a bottle of water. And this person didn't understand what I was saying, and it was just so frustrating. I was dehydrated. It was awful. But, we pushed through it. So language is a big one. It's amazing. Food is a good one to compare and contrast. For example, an eggplant. We don't call it that. We call it an aubergine. That's not a French way. A zucchini. Courgette, yeah, what else can you think of, Clara? Cilantro.
Aluminum foil.
So there's loads of things. Aluminium, we say, instead of aluminum.
Oh, paracetamol.
Oh, what? You say that? Paracetamol?
No, you say. What do you say for
Paracetamol?
Yeah.
And so it's a good one too. In terms of language, we often say things for what they are, not what the brand is. So we'll be like, oh, have you got a vacuum cleaner instead of a Hoover? Or, could you pass me a tissue instead of like, oh, can you grab me a Kleenex? So it's different things like that you'll come to learn, come to love. You may even come back with them and be like, oh yes, could I have a tissue, please?
I still say toilet.
Oh, she says toilet instead of bathroom, restroom. Like, I had to learn that. I'd be like, oh, please, could I go to the loo? And no one would know what I was saying. So yeah, the loo is a real thing. A really good one here on the right-hand side is that little image of the American there saying, nice pants. And the British person there going, do you have x-ray vision or what? So if you were to say nice pants, I'm wearing a dress, but if you were to say nice pants to me, I would be very embarrassed because pants to us are our underwear. Like underpants, So that's a good one to start with. Say nice trousers. We call them trousers. In terms of the pace of life, though, I mean, I could talk about language forever, so we'll speed it up. In terms of the pace of life, London is a fast-moving city. Millions of people in London, all on the tube, all on the buses, all above ground walking. It is an amazing place to be. I won't lie to you, Glendora's a little sleepy for me. I was walking on Route 66 and people were looking at me in their cars and I was like, okay, I need to get an Uber because this is just embarrassing now. So we like to walk. We like to get where we're going. We might not be in a rush, but we know that if we get there fast, we're there. We can chill out once we're there. This sort of plays into personal space. So as I said, we were founded by the Romans, so we're working with what the Romans gave us. Over the time, of course, we've expanded and expanded and expanded, but personal space is still at a premium. Personal space, if you're on the tube, you know, they call it the tube, the London Underground for a reason. It is tube-shaped. You're going through trains in tube-shaped tunnels. I think a good one for this is if you're wearing a big backpack, just take it off and put it by your feet. You know where it is. Everyone else knows where it is. You're not banging into someone like a tortoise shell. So just making sure that you're aware of your personal space. Cost. London, as I said, is a global city, maybe the capital of the world. You could challenge me on that. But because of that, it is quite an expensive city. What Clara was saying was really good advice. Make sure that you take time to meal prep or look for cheaper alternatives to things because it will really set you back if you're eating out every night. I don't do this. No one in London does this. We cook our food at home. We make a packed lunch or meal prep and take it into work or class or school with us. In terms of tipping, tipping is not so much a culture in the UK. We pay our service staff a good wage. You know, they're not on minimum wage working for tips. I definitely found this one an interesting one when I was in Arizona, and people treated me like a queen, refilling my water. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And then I was like, oh, I need to tip this person now. In the UK, your customer service, that second point there, the customer service might be a little less than what you're used to, simply because people aren't reliant on tips as much. We're also just generally you know, I like to call it my London face. When I'm on the tube or, you know, when I'm on the bus or when I'm getting to where I need to be, I'm not smiling, I'm not saying hi. I'm just going where I need to go. I put on my London face. I do this. I just keep it very neutral. So you might find that with customer service as well. People aren't all bright and happy to see you. But that doesn't mean that they're not a nice person. It might just take them a bit of time to warm up. These are all things, though, these cultural differences that we'll cover even more depth in the cultural workshop. So make sure you're there for that. It'll be mandatory. And things that you'll just pick up as you go along. That's really one of my favourite things. I could go on for that forever, but if anyone wants more information about cultural differences, little heads up, come and let me know. Now, talking about where we are based, so this is just a segment of London. It's called Bloomsbury. Bloomsbury is the academic hub of London. It's an amazing place to be. So we are right on the campus of the University of London. The University of London is an umbrella term for loads of different colleges or universities, such as University College London, Birkbeck College, SOAS, the School of Oriental and Asian Studies, is on this campus. But just to make it clear, you guys aren't studying at any of these colleges. You're using the facilities, but you're still studying with your home institution. It's called customised faculty-led. So we pick you up from here, put you down in London, and you use these things, but you're not enrolled in any of their programmes, okay? A lot of people are like, yeah, I studied at UCL for a semester. And it's like, no, you were there, but you didn't study there. It's a good thing to know. It's a really good location, as said. Loads of stations nearby. Goode Street, Russell Square, Warren Street. These all sound like gobbledygook, I'm sure, but you'll come to know and love them. This is our building here on the right-hand side. It's called Dilke House. Not Dilke House, Dilke House. We are located in the basement. That is where our student centre is. You'll spend many hour in there, I'm sure, sitting on the beanbags, that sort of stuff. And that is our address up on the right hand side. Is it important that if you ever send mail to our office, make sure that you put AIFS on the top of that address, because there are other businesses in the building. Okay, but having said that, our basement entrance there, it's entered with a key code that only you guys will know, so there'll be no one wandering in off the street or anything like that. You can see it's right next to the British Museum. In terms of London being quite a costly city, loads of our museums are completely free. The British Museum being one of them, I sometimes take my lunch break in there and have a look at things that I haven't seen yet. Inside Dilk House, you'll find the computer lab, pictured there on the right, free printing, free Wi-Fi and free magazines. Clara mentioned Time Out is one of my favourite magazines in the world. It's free and you can pick it up from either tube stations or from our office. In terms of office hours, we're open Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Friday, 8 till 5. These are all lots of information that we'll give to you in the orientation when you're in London as well. So don't feel awash with information at the moment. Now, in terms of the Student Services team, I am here on behalf of all of them. They're excited to meet you all. So firstly, we have Julie going from left to right. Julie is the head of Student Services. She's wonderful. Technically, she's my boss. And she is originally from France. She studied in the US as well, so completely gets what it's like to study abroad and has lived in London for many years. Sinead is from Ireland. She's great. She's the academic and internship director, so you might see her here and there. And also Meg there with the amazing red hair. Meg is originally from Chicago, so a Chicago person from London. You can talk to her about all those cultural differences that you'll experience. Me, I'm Catherine. I hope you know that by now. I'm a student advisor. I studied in Northern Arizona University for that amazing study abroad year. I studied at Swansea University, which is in Wales, so I moved away for university as well. As I said, I worked at Buckingham Palace and I used to be a tour guide in my summers during University of London. So I love a fun fact. Come and ask me anything. Charlie there to the right of my picture, she's great. She's another student advisor. She came to London from the west of England to study theatre. She's really cool. And she studied at an American university in London called Richmond. So she's got lots of experience dealing with American students too. Izzy next to her is from the same place as Charlie. It's a small world. She came to London to do her master's and has a background in social work. So she's a really, really, really interesting person. She came to London to do that master's and she never left. So that shows you the kind of effect that London has on people. Anya there on the right-hand side, she is originally from Germany and she has come with us for the past summer and she's now with us until the beginning of the fall semester. So she's an intern, she's doing it as part of her university degree. Really, really interesting. And of course you can't fail to mention Harry the fish. He gets a special mention. He's a great addition to the office, one of the hardest workers of us all. So student services, a bit embarrassing, I'm wearing the exact same dress as in that picture. So we're located in that basement level of Dilk House and we are here to help. That is our main thing. We are here specifically for you guys. We're dedicated, I'm sure. I'm here in LA telling you guys this. I'm dedicated. And we're friendly too. We try to be as approachable as possible. So if you have any issues at all, any problems, or you just want to come and say hi, you can come and say hi. We give great travel advice. We're quite well travelled. As you can see, we've got two people that aren't even from the UK. So we've got out and about and we have some good tips and tricks about how to get the best flights and things like that. In terms of messages and mail, if you guys want to send any post, we'll receive that and pass it on to lovely students. And we're also here in case of doctor's appointments. So if you ever need to see a doctor, you're feeling a bit under the weather, come and talk to us about it and we'll help you get right as rain. And as I said, helping to adjust to that London life. It is a big adjustment, you guys. It's not something that can be taken lightly. You're moving away from what you know and going somewhere new. That's an amazing thing to do. And we're here to help you adjust into that. In terms of our local facilities, so as I said, we're in a great location. Just opposite our building is a student central, which is here on the right-hand side. They've got an amazing indoor pool. I think it's the biggest in London, central London at least. And you'll be able to sign up to classes and things like that in Student Central. It's like the University of London Student Union. Lots going on in there, a cafe, a music venue, a gym and that swimming pool. It's a good meeting point for local London students and all of the facilities are within a 10-minute walking distance of our student centre. So that includes like where your classes are going to be held in University of London facilities such as Senate House, and IALS. IALS is the Institute for Advanced Legal Studies. Don't worry, we just call it IALS. It's a building where you'll have classes. Yeah.
What's the fee for the students have to so they wanted to use the gym.
I believe the gym is around £40, but you'll have to we'll talk about it when you get to London. And I think we're working with them to try and get some free trial days, so you guys can come and test out classes and things like that. So you will be studying while you're in London, of course. One of the courses you'll be doing is British Life and Culture, or we call it BLC for short. This is weekly lectures with the UK guest lecturer, who is Nikki. She's amazing. And you'll do visits as part of this course too. So that first visit to the British Library, as I mentioned, and then that weekend visit to the Houses of Parliament. You'll also be going to the Imperial War Museum, British Museum, Globe Theatre. So these are all going to be led. You won't be expected to just turn up and find it by yourselves. There'll be a student advisor to help you get to these places. So you're not expected to just walk to the Globe. We'll help you get there. In terms of the British Life and Culture, your US professors, you guys are going to be doing the grading for that class. Now, cultural events, if you have signed up for the cultural package, let me run through the list of things that you're going to be doing. Can't remember them all off the top of my head. There are quite a few. So firstly, if you are on the cultural package, you'll be going to Buckingham Palace, Midsummer Night's Dream at the Globe Theatre, heading down to the seaside town of Brighton, going to see The Lion King, which would be amazing. The adaptation was great with Beyonce. I'm biased, so I love Beyonce. There's also going to be an array of walking tours, including a ghost walking tour, so around Halloween time. The musical theatre walking tour, which is like a silent disco kind of thing, should be good. Stonehenge, of course, and Salisbury, a little neighbouring town. A visit to Windsor, so where the Queen lives when she's not in London, Oxford, and the performances of And Juliet, and a football game, so like a soccer match between the England ladies team and Germany. So lots to look forward to. I do have a few copies of the calendars that you guys will be using. They're just over there. Oh, wow, that was amazing. Everyone's like, if you don't grab a copy, don't worry, they're all on the AIFS portal. Might be better to stay paperless and go on the portal if you don't grab a copy of that. Does anyone have any questions about this? No, just raring to go and excited. Love it. So while you're in London, you will need to travel. As much as London is walkable, you will have to get on the tube at some point, or if not, take a bus for sure. When you arrive in London, you'll be given your Oyster travel card. So if that's an example of it there on the right-hand side, not to scale. That is a contactless card that has a travel card on it, okay? So this will be your ticket to London. You get it when you come to London, so don't worry about getting it before then. If you're in the apartment, if you're in Courtfield Gardens, you will have a travel card that goes from zones 1 to zones 2. And if you're in a homestay, you'll be in zones 1, 2, 3 or 4, depending on where your homestay is. The zones thing is kind of new, I'm sure, to you guys. The London tube map is vast, as London is vast, and the way that they break it down in terms of fares is going from zones 1 right in the middle to all the way out to zones 9. You probably will never need to go to zone 9, there's not much out there. So we're giving you the head start with zones 1 to 2 for apartment students and 1 to 3 or 4 for homestay. With this Oyster card, you'll have unlimited uses on the underground, on the tube, within your zones. Unlimited use on all of the buses in London, so the big classic red London buses, you can tap in and out as much as you want on those, and their night equivalent, so the buses that run after midnight, you can use your Oyster card on those too. But when you are travelling on the tube, be aware of rush hour. You know, LA traffic, it's kind of like that, but on underground. It can get quite crowded under there, but as I said, be just mindful of your personal space and make changes accordingly. If you're not happy in this crowded tube, maybe leave a little earlier, leave a little later. You'll make it work, I'm sure. And if you don't, come and talk to us about it. If you want to travel outside of London, but why would you? No, of course, can't stop from going somewhere else. Your free weekends can be used for travel if that's something you want to do. Definitely go for it. You know, you're in London. Some people say that London is like the gateway to the rest of Europe. We've got 4 airports, all within easy reach of central London. But don't dismiss travelling within the UK. There is more than one place than London in the UK. Liverpool, if you're into the Beatles. Manchester, if you've ever seen the show. Geordie Shore, maybe not. It's like our version of Jersey Shore. But we are well travelled, as I say, and on hand to advise you. Should you want to go somewhere a bit far flung and you're not sure on how to get there, come and ask us. We might have been. If not, we'll help you get there. There are bargains to be had though, as that great bullet point says. So book early for the best prices. On the portal, you'll have your calendar, so you can start planning ahead. If you want to go to Paris, but you don't know what weekend's going to be working with your budget, start having a look now. There's nothing wrong with planning in advance. You'll get to know your roommates and the people in this room that are going on the trip, so maybe form a little group, go to Paris, why not? But budget airlines, be aware of those too. Budget airlines are great in terms of their price, but they can sometimes be a bit inconvenient in terms of which airports they fly out from. For example, there's great budget airlines, but they might be flying out of a place called London Southend. They just put London in front of the place Southend. It is miles and miles and miles away from London. So that's how they kind of get you to spend less, but you end up spending more because you'll have to pay for transport to get from where you started all the way to the airport and then onwards. Did you ever find anything like that? Or were you quite smart if you're traveling?
Pretty smart.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think definitely though I went to Florence and I thought I'd be able to stay an extra night, but I found out that there wasn't a train going back to the
Oh
airport.
yeah, good idea.
So I think definitely
Yeah. Planning ahead is going to help you so much. Even if you're not a planner, try. As Clara just said, there might not be a train on a specific day that you want to travel, but you're there and you didn't plan ahead and you're a bit stranded. So you could see it as an adventure or plan ahead. In terms of emergency contacts, though, is an important one. AIFS staff are on duty 24/7 during your programme, so that'll be me and the other student advisors. We take turns to carry the AIFS duty phone, and if you have any problems, any concerns or any issues, you can ring that number. So it's primarily for students, but parents, if you want to take note of it too, that's completely fine. It is for emergencies, though. We'll repeat this when we're in London. The emergency phone is for emergencies. Don't call it at 2 a.m. when you want to find the nearest McDonald's, okay? The person on duty will not be happy about this. So making sure that if you need emergency medical attention, there's a fire, you've been a victim of crime, that's the kind of level of emergency we're talking. If you find yourself thinking, should I call the emergency services or AIFS? Call the emergency services and then tell us about it as soon as you're finished sorting that out with them. We're here to support you, but if you need to go to the ER or A&E, accident and emergency, and you want to know if you should talk to us about it first, make that judgment on yourself, by yourselves, but we can help you once you've made it, okay? We'll again talk about this when we're in London. As it says there, we have a Facebook group too. So I know you guys have your Citrus Facebook group, but we have one that we'll share with you later. Posting on that Facebook page is not an emergency service. Yes, we have a smartphone that is the emergency phone, but we're not sat there checking Facebook. We're just listening for calls, texts, things like that. Does anyone have any questions about this? Yeah. Now, in terms of discipline, of course, it is mandatory to attend all class events. This is part of the terms of your visa. As I said, it is a short-term study visa, so you have to study, you have to be in class. Because of this, there will be sign-in sheets or class registers for every class that you're in. Your faculty will help you sign in on those. They'll be chasing you for those signatures on those registers. And as a result of this, your behaviour is continuously monitored, okay? All of you guys have signed agreements and release forms as part of your application. And when you get to London, we'll also be signing student codes of conduct. So these are essentially just forms saying that you won't break AIFS rules, which I'm sure you won't anyway, but it's good to have it in paper and on writing. You are representing your college, your university, your institution in London. And so you are subject to their rules and you are subject to our rules too. We do operate a warning system, which we'll go into when we're in London, but continually ignoring the rules means that you may get kicked off the programme with no refund, and nobody wants that. You're in London to study and have fun. You're not there to get into trouble and get kicked off. That's a waste of your semester, and it's not going to be fun for any of us. We don't like kicking people off, okay? In terms of illegal behaviour, that equals immediate removal from the programme. That goes without blinking an eye. And drugs in the UK kind of come under that. So I know that in California, drugs can be a bit sort of flexible. I saw cannabis posters on the way up. That will never be seen in England, in London, in the UK. There is just a simple no drugs are legal. There's no grey area with marijuana or anything like that. It's a big no. Make sure that you're aware of that before you come to London, because if you say, oh, well, it's legal where I'm from, you're in a country where it isn't. There's nothing to be, nothing to be surprised about when you get there. Yes, sir.
And just one other thing. This is so fun. Can I show something here? Yeah, discipline. It's a shame we have to talk about it, but there are incidents. So you are still a community college student, a Citrus College student. So we do have our code of conduct as well. So everything that kind of applies to you on campus will apply to you abroad, right? So being in London is an extension of our campus, or being on an excursion. So if you show up to an excursion inebriated, then you could have a disciplinary procedure in place because of that. Also, Title IX still applies while you're abroad. So if you are experiencing harassment, it's a sexual harassment, then everything's still in place as far as Title IX's concerned. So if you just go to the Study Abroad page, well, usually it's on the side, but you can see the Title IX information here. Basically, you'd reach out probably to Sheryl here. If you are experiencing harassment, or you can
talk to us about
you
it
can
as
talk
well.
to them, or you can reach out to Brenda Fink, and you can see it there. She's the Title IX coordinator. Okay. Any questions about discipline?
Can you talk about drinking?
Yes. What would you say about drinking? That's the number one issue. So
I've got a lot of...
I'll leave it up to you guys. Yeah.
Age. Okay, yeah. So do you mind? I'll cover that in safety slide, if that's all right. So you'll want to keep in touch with your friends and family while you're in London. A great way to do this, email, a bit old school, Skype, maybe FaceTime, Google Hangouts, Facebook Messenger. WhatsApp is a great tool as well. US smartphones with Wi-Fi messaging, WhatsApp, as I said, Viber. Just make sure you turn off your roaming data to avoid a huge bill when you get back to the States. You might want to consider getting an international plan for your US phone. That way when you land, you can go straight into texting and calling as if you were still in the US, and there wouldn't be any additional surprise fees. Or you can get pay-as-you-go cell phone once you're in the UK. Another cultural difference I've just realised on that slide, we call it a mobile phone. So if you wanted to get a new mobile phone plan while you're in the UK, you could easily do that. There will be time to do that within your first week for sure. If you don't want to use your data on your US phone, you can go and buy a cheap sort of cell phone in one of our many phone shops, and they will be able to help you get the best plans and things like that. It's always good to do your research ahead of time though. If you know that you're addicted to social media, you need your Instagram likes, make sure you're thinking about this ahead of time. If you get land in Heathrow and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have my phone, you might feel a little disconnected from the world. So make sure that you look ahead towards keeping in touch with people. Really old school but lovely as well is receiving post or mail. Care packages, parents, send these with caution. If you send lots and lots of things, there may be fees incurred on the other end due to customs, okay? A way to sort of avoid this is marking packages with used personal goods. You probably won't get taxed as much on used personal goods as you would a brand new mobile phone, if you see what I'm talking about. But as I said, be aware of importation taxes for US goods. A student might be missing Kraft mac and cheese and they might be really worried about it, but you can buy that sort of stuff in the UK too. It might not be the same quality that you're used to, but you can do things the way you would. Avoiding mailing medications, they won't get through customs. Cosmetics, we have cosmetics in the UK that you can use, and food. So as I said, it might get stopped by customs, and if they let it through customs, you'll have to pay a really hefty fine or a fee to get it released. I know a couple of students have had to pay upwards of $80 for it to be released, and that's not what you want when you were planning your big weekend to Seville, so make sure that you have that in mind. Send all the packages to AIFS Student Services. Here again is the address, so making sure you put the recipient's name, AIFS, and our lovely address at Dilk House. This is just because your homestay family might not be in to collect your package, and it's not their responsibility to receive your mail. That's our responsibility. And also in Courtfield Gardens, there might be other people, other students in the building that you don't want going through your post. So just make sure you send it to us. What we usually do is we write it on a board behind us. We send down emails telling you that you've got a package, and you come and collect it from us. We keep it safe for you. Does anyone have any questions about that? Yeah. Weather, I could talk about the weather forever, of course. I'm from London, we're British, we always talk about the weather. It's a great conversation starter. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't always rain in London, but you should be prepared for changeable weather. It's beautiful, brilliant sunshine out here. It can get hot in London, and when it does get hot in London and the most of Europe, we don't have air conditioning. We just don't need it. It doesn't get that hot. So I'm actually a little chilly in this air conditioning, I don't know about you. But that's the sort of thing that we're dealing with. So just be prepared for changeable weather. Always carry an umbrella, it'll help you out, of course. Always check the weather forecast. I love the weather forecast. It helps me get ready in the morning, puts my mind at ease that I know I've got my umbrella and I won't be running late for class, that sort of thing. When I used to be a student, of course. I don't go to class anymore. It might be a shock if you are like used to the sun and you're a complete like lizard and you need the sun. But you know, that's part of studying abroad. You get used to new climates, new foods, new smells, new sights, that sort of thing. The average temperatures though in London really range from around 35 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, in the UK we use Celsius, so you might see a good change in the numbers that you're used to. I went to New York in January a couple of years ago, and it was saying like 35 degrees, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. And of course it's like snowing. It was crazy. I know. So I've told you guys my embarrassing stories, so you don't have to. Now packing, has anyone started packing yet? Oh, you have? Well done, so prepared. So if you are going to start packing, thinking about these things, it's good to be prepared, as I said. Make sure you do bring, if you need it, prescribed medication, enough for your entire trip. A US prescription will not get filled by a UK pharmacy. Bring towels, as I said, clothing that you can layer, you know, maybe look up on Pinterest like what to wear in London, that sort of thing. Rainwear, that could probably just be an umbrella because you'll be inside quite a lot of the time. But if you feel good in a raincoat, bring a raincoat. Comfortable shoes, I'm sure Clara can tell you this too. Wear comfortable shoes because, as I said, you'll be walking lots and lots and lots. You'll have your London legs on going from class to shops, to the theatre, that sort of stuff, and you'll need good shoes to do that in. Maybe buy a new pair now, start wearing them in, so you're good to go when you hit the tarmac in Heathrow. And also a good idea to bring an adapter plug for the UK. We have different voltage, so if you just go straight into plug like a hair straightener or something like that, like a sort of small appliance, that sort of thing, it could blow up, you could blow the fuse. So make sure you bring an adapter so that the voltage is stepped down and things like that. Just Google US, UK voltage adapters and you should find one. They probably sell them in Target, your local shops, things like that. Things that you don't need to bring: bed linen or pillows. You'll have them when you get here or there. An expensive hairdryer or straightener for the aforementioned potential mini blowout thing. Too much stuff. You don't need it. There won't be space for it. You might feel a bit bogged down by everything that you've got. Feel free to free yourself of things that you maybe don't need. Look at it and think, will I wear it? Might I wear it? If it's not a complete yes, don't bring it. If you need a teal coloured tank top, you can buy it in London. We're a global city, we've got everything. If you want to bring heavy or expensive items, remember that you'll have to carry your bag everywhere, so you will be carrying that heavy item. And expensive items, make sure that you take out insurance if you think it might get lost or you might break it. It's heartbreaking when you see someone lose something or break something and they don't have insurance to replace it. So make sure you're thinking ahead for things like that. Pepper sprays and tasers is my favourite one. They are illegal in the UK. They are classed as a firearm. Please do not bring them. If you forget, how did you get it in the country in the first place? And secondly, just come and bring it to us. We'll ask no questions. Just bring us your pepper spray, bring us your taser, and we'll give it over to the police. It's a big deal, okay? They're not legal. That was a big shock for me when I was in Arizona, and people have them on lanyards. It's like, what is this? So leave your lanyard, leave your pepper spray at home. And as we say, remember you'll have limited space and you'll need room in your suitcase for all the amazing souvenirs. Get an I Heart London t-shirt, you'll need space for it.
Can I ask, Clara, how is packing? Is there anything you regret bringing or not bringing? And as far as clothing goes, I guess, you need a good jacket. They're
good.
pretty good.
Yeah, but they do have like thrift stores there that you can, if you need to pick something up for cheap, or you can go to the market.
Right.
What was that one? The Prime?
Primark. Oh yes,
Primark.
great. Has anyone heard of Primark? It's a really low, yeah, you guys are like, yes, Primark. I agree, Primark's amazing. It's a really low cost shop. It sells everything from like flip-flops to luggage. So if you bring that checked bag and you decide that you need to carry everything more on your way back to the States, you can just buy stuff from Primark. It's a really good way. It's better to come with less and accumulate rather than come with too much and have too much. It's not only another thing to think about, like, oh, now I've got another bag I need to ship home. It's just good to, you know, be free, be able to carry your own luggage. Those are good tips. Yeah. In terms of money, Clara said, we use the Great British Pound. At the moment, the exchange rates are around £1 to approximately $1.21. Or $1 is 82 pence. Like you have 100 cents to a dollar, it's 100 pence to a pound. We usually abbreviate pence to p, so it's like 10p, but nothing in London really costs 10p. It's usually upwards of £1. Most European countries outside the UK, though, use the euro. So don't get euros thinking you're in Europe, you're in London. We don't use the euro. This happens more often than you'd think. So make sure you're bringing pounds to London. Get to know the currency, maybe play shop with your roommate. I know that that's really good fun. And you'll get the change and you'll get to learn all of our different coins. We've got hexagonal coins, round coins. So there's quite a lot of coins going around. So make sure you're familiar with that. This is an example of what our money looks like. Of course, it's got the Queen on there. And it's actually made out of a sort of, you know, like Canada has like plastic money. We're kind of getting that too. So that's really exciting. Has everyone told their bank that you are going abroad? If you haven't yet, make sure you do that. Make sure that your bank knows that you are in London, because otherwise they're going to think that someone has stolen your credit card and is having a good old time in Harrods, an amazing department store. So make sure that your bank knows that you are away before you travel. You don't want your card to get declined in Primark, and you know it's just devastating for everyone. So make sure your bank knows that you're out. In terms of sales tax, like we have sales tax included. This is another thing that caught me out. I had $1 ready to buy my bottle of water, and they were like, "Yep, that's $1.25," and I was like, "But it says $1." Everything in the UK has sales tax included. As I said, it's big, it's bold, it's underlined. Make sure you tell your bank that you are going abroad before you leave the US. This will help you in so many different ways. It might be a good idea if you don't already to get internet banking so that you can manage your money really easily while you're in London or traveling around Europe. In terms of ATMs, we call them cash points, the point in which you get your cash. You can withdraw from cash points ATMs, but you may incur fees for doing this. So just make sure that you're aware of that, just so you don't think that you've got unlimited money. A really good thing to mention as well is that our currencies are so different in terms of like what they look like. So I often thought that it wasn't real money because it didn't look like pounds to me. So keep that in mind. It's real money. You've worked for this money. Spend it like you would your own. It's not monopoly money. In terms of credit cards, sometimes there can be minimum amount spends, but that's sort of depending on where you go. So it might be that you need to spend £5 in order to use your card without incurring a fee. Visa, MasterCard are really widely accepted. I have a MasterCard, it's great. But Amex or American Express is less likely to be accepted, but it will be in most places. It's a good idea to bring an amount of cash with you for your arrival. So £100, £150 might be a good way to start, so that if you have to buy something really quickly, like a towel, you forgot your towel, oh my gosh, I forgot toothpaste, you can just pop to the pharmacy or the drugstore and grab your toothpaste and be on your way because you brought cash ahead of time. Don't bring dollars to exchange with you. You will probably have to find somewhere to exchange your money when you just want to hit the ground running. And you might incur like additional fees, or like the dollar might not be as good against the pound, that sort of stuff. Just make sure you're prepared before you travel, before you get on that plane. It's a really good idea as well to get money out when you're in London, but make sure you're getting your money out inside a bank, not just getting it out at a cash point in the middle of the road, because you don't know who might come by and like swipe your cash from you. It's never happened to me, but I'm not saying that it might not happen to anyone. So just go inside a bank, use their cash point inside there, put your money safely away and be on your way. We'll cover more things like that as well as soon as you get to London, so don't worry about that.
Can I say something?
Of course.
One of the things I found out is I have multiple accounts, obviously at different institutions. When I go to my credit union, they don't charge the fee. So when I'm in London, I'm going to use my credit card Visa. I won't use my Chase Visa. My son is a student, and he's going as well. So I got him an account at the credit union to avoid that fee. So you might want to do some shopping around and plan it in advance. Double check with your bank.
Yeah, definitely a good idea to check with the banks. Great. When you're telling them that you're going to be abroad, ask them if they're partnered with any UK banks. That might be, I think Bank of America might be partnered with one of our banks. So it means that you won't get transaction fees when you take out money in the UK. Yes, madam.
So do you recommend that they change dollars into pounds here?
Yes. Yes, I think that's better because if you land in the UK and you need something and you only have dollars, you're limiting yourself. Instead of just going directly to the shop, you now have to find a place to change your money and then going and doing that. So it's a good idea to change it here. Yeah, of course.
You mean just initially, right?
Just initially, yeah. Yeah. If you don't want to take a huge, like all the money that you're going to need when you're abroad, as I said, just take a good starting amount, £100, £150, and that will be enough to get going. And then once you're comfortable with the budgets and things like that, feel free to go to banks and cash points as and when you need. Yeah, go ahead, Clara.
I think not too much because I think the exchange rate is better there.
Aha.
I remember taking from the ATM than actually. I mean, it depends on where you go, though. I know
It
where
really
I went.
differs,
I went to
doesn't
the
it?
Bank, but I think there's some places. So just do your research because I think I ended up paying more exchange rate because I did take some pounds out.
Mm-hmm.
But then I talked to some friends and they said I think they went to like the post or something like
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Post
exchange
office.
rate was
Yeah.
less.
The exchange rates are going to vary wherever you go, but it's just for that initial thing, as you say, just to make sure you have, like when I travelled here, I made sure I had some dollar bills in case I needed to, tip a driver or something like that. That sort of mentality. Yeah.
Do you recommend like the international travel cards?
They can work, so I don't know.
MasterCard has one.
Yeah, I think some people use them. It's really up to personal preference. Students don't usually come and rave about either one thing or the other. But if you feel comfortable going for something like that, definitely try it, explore it. I think it's just always good for that initial arrival, just to make sure you have cash. Now, insurance. It's an important slide. All of you guys will receive medical insurance as part of your program fees, and for every claim you make, there will be a $50 deductible on that claim. So if you find yourself going and using your insurance all the time, it might be a good idea to save all the claims up at the end so you only get one $50 deductible. For pre-existing conditions, make sure that your own insurance will cover you instead, because there are limitations to CISI, our insurance. There's up to $500 mental health coverage, so if you find yourself needing a counsellor or anything like that, you can be covered up to $500. It's really good. But be aware, as I say, of limitations and conditions. So if you're coming to the UK, you're coming to London because you know a really good dentist and you want to get like a fresh set of teeth, that won't be covered in the insurance, okay? That's like cosmetic dentistry is not covered, for example. Take care of your belongings. So if you have that personal effects coverage, you don't want to be using it really. You don't want to be losing your things. You don't want to be having to go down that route. But for more details about the insurance, if you want to read through the whole document, you could probably get that done in the flight over. It's quite long. You can go to AIFScustomised.com and we have it on there. But just as a bullet point to end it on, just take care of yourself, really. If you have any questions about the insurance when you're in London, we know about it. Come to us and come talk to us about it. We can help you process claims and all that fun stuff if and when you need it. Now, safety. As I said, leave expensive items at home. So don't walk around with your iMac out like doing work on the go. You don't need to do that. No one does it. You don't do it here, so you wouldn't do it there. Avoid demos and protests. This can be quite often, when we had Trump visiting, there were lots of things going on regarding his visit. So it's best just to avoid those sort of situations. Don't put yourself in a situation where you would feel unsafe. Don't travel alone at night. That's just good advice for everyone. And if you do want to travel, make sure you use the buddy system. As I said, you're a little team while you're in London. So, pal up with your roommate, let them know where you're going, where you're going to be, at what time. And if you're not there, then they can contact you, things like that. Again, we cover more of this in the orientation when you get to London, so you can see it all for yourselves. As we come on to drinking there, so don't accept drinks from strangers. That's just a given across the world, not just London. If you do, you don't know what might happen afterwards. So, you're independent, you can get your own drinks, you don't need them for someone else. In terms of the drinking age, our drinking age is 18, and people often start drinking before that, so we have a very good tolerance, okay? Our alcohol, I wouldn't usually touch on this, but as you asked, our alcohol is a lot stronger than what you might be used to, or if you're not used to alcohol at all, then here. Our alcohol is stronger, end of. So pace yourselves, you're adults, look after yourselves, don't do anything silly. Don't see it as an opportunity to get drunk on the plane. That is not a good idea, because we need you and your sound mind to get you to where you need to be on that first day, okay? Don't be like popping Prosecco, stuff like that. Does anyone have any specific questions about that? Do you want me to touch more? Is that okay? Cool. Yeah, so you're all adults. You act like an adult when it comes to alcohol. Don't take unmarked cabs. Things like Uber are really good in London as well as they are here. You can tell a taxi from a unmarked cab, because a black London taxi, we've all seen them before, they're in the Parent Trap and stuff like that. They're the classic London black cab, and they have an orange light on when they're available and off when there's someone in them. They're really, really reliable. They have to do a test called the Knowledge, which means they know all of the roads in London, which is incredibly impressive. There are many roads in London. They know all the best routes and things like that. Sometimes they're chatty, sometimes they keep to themselves, but if you want to take a taxi, use Uber or use a London black cab. Ensure, your phone is always charged. If you ever find yourself in Bloomsbury and the office is open, come in, use your charging points, because it's always good to make sure your phone is charged. I found that coming even here, and I'm used to having this. So just have a charged phone, easy to communicate with people, easy to use Google Maps, things like that.
And I always recommend too, just to buy a little battery that you can carry
Ooh,
around.
a portable charger.
Portable charger, yeah. I do
good
that when
idea.
I travel. It's so helpful because you're always looking at your phone like, oh, where's this thing? And if you leave London and you're in Paris, and you're going to be on your phone constantly, it drains the battery. So if you have that portable batteries.
Yeah.
I'd say too, for maps, if you don't have internet or worried about your phone dying, it's always handy to just keep a map on you. I know not everybody are map people, but it's kind of fun in a new city, and it's a great way to kind of see a lay of the land. I know I'm a very visual person, so it just helps me.
Yeah.
And I would check things off and circle, and I just made it my own.
Yeah, I remember when Clara came last year, she was the only person with a map. And I was like, Clara, amazing. Whenever anybody wants to go somewhere in the UK or wants to get their bearings, I take them over to our map of the UK. You can't just say, I want to go here and not know where it is. So that's the exact same thing. You guys have all said you want to come to London, but have you looked at it? Yeah, you have. Good. Okay, we're on the right track. So make sure you just look at a plan of London. Look where Dilk House is ahead of time. Look at what's nearby. It'll really help you when you... Do you know what I do as a secret? So I actually Google map, street viewed Glendora before I came. So when I got here late at night, I was like, yeah, that's that Taco Bell on the corner. Yeah, great. Oh, yeah. So I knew where I was before I'd even got here. It's an amazing tool. Use it. So using common sense is an amazing skill. Not everyone has common sense, but that's why we're here. We can help you talk things through if you're not 100% sure of what to do or where to go. Common sense will get you very far in life. Make sure you use it. It's worth noting that in the fall, in the autumn, we call it, we do get darker earlier. So it's quite cozy, but it is darker. Streets are well lit, and if they're not don't go down them. There's no point going down an unlit street, really, is there? I don't drive either. It's worth noting. I don't drive. I'm from London. I don't need to. The tube is my car. At least that's what I say to my driving instructor. But yes, so using public transport is 100% safe. Very, very safe. Everyone use it. And if you don't, people are like, how do you get around? So it's very, very safe to walk in the darker times in the autumn, to take the tube in the fall, that sort of thing. Have confidence when you're in London. I think that faking it till you make it is an amazing saying. So if you do feel a bit worried about where you are, don't be afraid. You know, people are friendly. Just be confident. Go about your business like confidently. If you find yourself on the wrong road, just stride up to someone and ask them where to go. You never know, you might make a friend. Or go into a shop, use your Google Maps, find out where to go, and then confidently stride out of that top shop to your destination. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Another comment, because of course I have two hats, right? I'm a mom of a kid studying abroad and then faculty, and so it's like, okay, well, that's going to be off doing the transportation on his own, and he'll be fine, I get that. But I had a colleague at work who lived in London for 7 years, and she said, Suzanne, I want to reassure you as a mom for your son, if he ever gets lost, people in London are so gracious and forgiving, especially for students studying abroad, because it's a common thing. Just have your son, if he's confused, just tell somebody and basically say, excuse me, I'm not quite sure where I'm going. Be wise about who you talk to, obviously. He said, and everybody will be super helpful. They'll probably walk him to the appropriate, tube station just to make sure he gets on it. She said, you have every reason to be confident, not to be worried. And as a mom, I appreciated that.
Definitely. But there are like small children that get the tube to school every day, so we start commuting quite young. But yeah, so it's an incredibly safe city. I can say that very confidently. I've lived there most of my life, and I'm so excited for you guys to come and experience it too. But starting with safety and security before you even come to London, you can register with the US Embassy, so they kind of know that you're going and things like that. In terms of what we do in AIFS, we log weekend travel plans. So all of you guys that want to go to Barcelona or you want to go to Reykjavik, see Iceland and the Blue Lagoon, it's going to sound creepy, but we will know about it. You'll let us know that you're going to be traveling, and that's just in case anything was to happen in said country or said city that you're going. We can see that you're there and you will let us know that you're safe. You could go onto the US State Department website. We receive the US State Department advisories, and we have emergency procedures and extensive backup services too. We have really good links with the local services. We know some of the Metropolitan Police, PC Paul, he's a great guy. So safety and security is one of our utmost important things while you're here in London. And it's not just you that we're going to be looking after as well. There are going to be other people from different colleges in London using the same space as you guys, maybe even going on the same trips. We've got people coming from Illinois Wesleyan University and University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. So all of you, not just you, are our priority. So we would like to keep you nice and safe and enjoying your time. Does anyone have any questions? No? Yeah.
So the students if they go traveling on
Yeah.
the weekends, they log it so you know where they are.
Yes.
That's really
Yeah, it's so helpful. It's so useful. And if we weren't to log it, they come in and tell us about it anyway because they're so excited. So it's really good. So sometimes people like to go on these lovely optional trips. So if you'd like to go to Scotland, if you're interested or if you're not already signed up, it's an amazing optional Scotland weekend. The dates are here, Thursday, October the 10th to October the 13th. So this package includes an AIFS staff member to go with you up to the Highlands, round trip train, so train there or train back, Edinburgh and Inverness hostel accommodation, coach transportation when you're there, potentially see Nessie, go to Loch Ness, go to Glencoe, go to the Isle of Skye. It's an amazing trip. If you haven't already signed up, please make sure that if you want to go, let us know. So you all have our email address, that student info email address. Let us know by end of day Tuesday, because that's when we're closing that off. If you want to go to Scotland, let us know. Did you go to Scotland, Clara? No. You went to other places though too. So you made up for it. Scotland's a good idea if you're a bit nervous about travelling on your own, because this is with an AIFS staff member. And then when you get to Scotland, there is a really good company that we work with called Haggis. very fitting for the Scotland trip. And they are amazing, confident guides that help us explore the amazing Highlands of Scotland. I went last fall and it was really, 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 really impressive. A great way to see more of the UK. But if you're interested more in Seville, so the Seville places are closing really, really rapidly. I think there's only 2 spots available maybe for female students. If there's any female students that want to go, there are 2 available spots. Again, make sure you're sending that email either today or Monday, letting us know that you want to go. So that's going to be in Seville, an amazing city in Spain, Thursday, November the 7th to the November the 10th. And that again includes AIFS staff. So Izzy will be leading on this trip. And that includes coach transfer, so to the airport, from the airport, 3 nights hostel accommodation, a guided city tour, a cooking class, which is always good fun to learn a different culture of cooking, and group tapas. Who doesn't love tapas? So these trips are sometimes the highlights of people's time with us with AIFS. So if you don't want to miss out, just let us know. Yes?
And that's 2 spots?
Yes.
Only girls?
Yes.
How much is that?
Oh, I cannot remember, but send an email and someone will get back to you on Monday for sure. So if you haven't already, please take time to go on the AIFS portal. So this is the website you need to go on. It's got all the things that you need before you go to London. All the materials on here. So your timetable will probably be available on here within the coming weeks. The cultural program calendar and the calendar in general of all those weekend things and when you're not having class, that's on there too. So if you haven't already, probably means your parents have been doing it for you. So take time to get acquainted with the AIFS portal. If you've lost your login, don't worry. Email our colleagues in Stamford called Patty and Karen. If you haven't had an email from them, let me know and I can get you their email address. And they will help you log into the lovely AIFS portal. Does anyone have a question about that? No. Okay, so if you do have any questions before you get to London, it's coming up soon, please make sure you let us know. It's always good to let us know if you have any questions, any concerns before you get here so we can help you as soon as you get to London. So if you do have any of those questions, you feel free to let me know within this session, or you can contact us on studentinfo@aifs.co.uk. This is like the main email address for everyone. It's monitored constantly during office hours. This is the best way to contact us. You'll know it off by heart. You'll send us loads of emails and it will all be great. But please remember to put SCAL in the subject of your email. So I know you're the Foothills Consortium here, but once you get to London, you'll be known as SCAL. All good? All understand that? So if you do have anything, you want to let us know your travel plans, please do. Like the travel plans for getting to London, if your own transport, please let us know via student info. If you want to sign up for Scotland or Seville, let us know through here. And we look forward to seeing you in London.
All right, thank you. We can open that up for questions. Do you have any questions?
Anything,
Clara or
nothing is a
Catherine?
weird question. Yeah.
Is it still to sign up for the cultural package?
I don't think so. Definitely send an email if that's something you're interested in.
That's the email right here.
Yes, please. Yes. Yes.
I have a question for the students.
Yeah, Clara, go ahead.
I know London's 8 hours ahead. They took a while to have
Yes. I think what helped though kind of get over the jet lag is they planned. A lot of students didn't want to be there at first because of the jet lag, but I think it definitely helped you guys had something planned. Do you use it the same?
Yeah. So you arrive, then the day after you have orientation. So you got to be up. You got to be up in
Are you
there.
doing the boat trip again?
No boat trip this time,
Oh.
but the Buckingham Palace thing,
Okay.
cultural workshop. There are planned things that whole week, so you're not forced. That's not the word I'd use, but you will adapt very quickly. I got here on Thursday, and my sleep pattern's a little weird, but I'm still here. I'm still having a good time. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. If Clara and the rest of the SCAL from last year can do it, you'll be completely fine. The time difference you might have found is interesting when you need to contact your parents back home, but that's something that you'll learn. And you'll get to know what time's best for you and for your family, things like that. Yeah.
With the apartments, the students are in, is that building just students or there?
The Courtfield Gardens one. So the Not the homestay, the other one. Yeah, so that building is owned by a company that sometimes let it out to other people and tourists, but for the most part it's a AIFS building. There's 2 staff members, so Charlie and Izzy. They are both live-in student advisors. So if you guys are ever like locked out, your first port of call will be to talk to your roommate about getting you back in the building, or you can call on the student advisors that live in.
So they're on site.
Yes, on site. Yeah.
And then, do the students, what do the teachers, do they want a computer? Do they bring their laptops or do they bring an iPad?
Oh, it really depends, you know. I know a lot of people bring their computers, but you do have to carry it around all the time. People do work well on iPads. We've got computers at Dilk House, so some people don't even think about it at all. But do you guys, will there be lots of computer work as faculty, as part of your, yeah? So it might be a good idea to bring a laptop if that's, yeah.
I did because I was concerned about it being stolen or something happened to it, so I did just bring an iPad, and then I did use the computers are there, and it helped because then I wasn't bringing the homework out. It was kind of, I was able to just get it done at the school and just prioritize it then, and then once I was done, then I could do my exploring. So it kind of have to just work with your time and yeah, make sure you don't procrastinate too much. I think it helped me with that because I couldn't do it at home necessarily. Or even on your phone, sometimes I'd write papers on my phone. Yeah, just get the apps, the Google Docs or whatever.
Was there a question? Oh, yeah?
Is there a TV in the apartment?
Yeah. Very small, but it's a TV. Yeah.
I just got something that's in our book information, but I remember reading something or hearing something that we should do the online books.
It depends on the course you're in. So some faculty have textbooks that are online. So in that email I sent with your textbook information that you sent me, you can see what they're requiring for each class. So I think for the speech, there's some online texts, right?
For any of mine, the ISBN number that I gave may have been for the print version, but you are free to use the ebook version, and who wants to lug heavy textbooks across the pond, right? So use the ebook if you want to.
Yeah, so read that email. It describes that. Also, if you go to the schedule, like I described in that email, you can Google Citrus College fall schedule and then search the study abroad courses and then click Get Books on there. And that should also now, I believe it's been updated, display those textbooks. Any other questions? Okay, well, before...
I do have a
Yes.
question. When we originally signed up for everything, we also signed up for her flight to be with the group, but I have no information on it.
So e-tickets will be on the portal.
They'll be on the portal?
Yes.
Okay, we do have the information of when it goes out.
Yeah.
We don't have, like, do we
Yeah.
have receipts?
So what will happen is you'll go to the portal and all the e-tickets are on there, and then you will probably take that, or you go to the Virgin Atlantic desk at the airport and say, hello, I'd like to check in.
Who's never been to LAX? Is everyone? Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Last time we had some students, they were just confused about the whole LAX thing, so I could maybe send you an email with that. It's pretty easy. Just be sure to arrive 3.5 hours before departure because LAX is a mess. You're flying out of Tom Bradley, I imagine, which is in the middle. And you basically, you'll be on a list. So did you do the group flight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go to the counter for Virgin and you tell them your name, you have your passport.
Yeah.
And
you guys will kind of find each other. I think I saw a big group of students and that's probably where everyone is accumulating. And sure enough it was. So that's kind of how you find each other.
And maybe on the Facebook page, you can take the shuttle together or carpool. So, I really want you to communicate on that page. I know students are coming from all over. So some students are coming from Miracosta, which is down in San Diego. So maybe carpool with someone from down there. Yeah. Any questions about that?
I do have 2 things to share that you
Yes.
had asked me. So I'd say definitely no time is like the present. If there's something you want to do, don't say I'll do it later. There are some things I missed out because I kept saying I'll do it later, and then I didn't have any time to. But I did get a lot done. But just encourage you guys, if you want to do it, just do it. Also, they say y'all right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Nobody told me this until like the last week I was in London, but my homestay father would always say y'all right. And for us, it's like we think they're asking us like, are you okay? Like, it just makes sense, but it's not. It's like it's kind of what's up for them, right?
Yeah, it's like hello. So if you come into student service like, oh, you're right, that doesn't mean like, oh yes, I'm really well, thank you so much for asking. I'd love to hear it, but like, I'm just saying hello. You're right.
So me and my roommate were just laughing about it because every time he's like, "You're right," we're like, "Yeah, we're okay."
It's a little windy out.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
There's so many little things like that you like that I can't even think of right now that you will just pick up straight away, and you'll really embrace it. I think a really good. You'll have a really good time.
Have a blast. I miss London. I wish I was going with y'all. For sure.
Yeah, we don't say y'all. That's something.
Yeah, you guys don't say y'all either.
No. Just say you all.
I say it sometimes.
You guys.
I don't know where I picked it up.
Okay.
You guys, whatever.
Texas.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to give you a break. We're going to do 2 more things. But I want to talk about self-care and health. So I have a simple form here for you. Have a look at that. You just need to write your name, your email, your phone number, allergies, medications, what you take them for, and your plan for them while you're abroad. This is completely voluntary, but it just serves to support you while you're abroad. So with this form, I'm going to give it to Shauna Bigby, our school nurse. She's going to look these over. She might contact you and just check in with you, make sure you have a plan. So fill those out. It's confidential. The school nurse and the lead faculty might check in with you. So it's just like an emergency information form. If there is an incident abroad, we can have this form and we know what's going on. And it'll give your faculty an idea of how to support you, okay? So if you take prescription or over-the-counter medication on a regular basis, you need to take that medication with you. Be sure you have enough or even extra for the entire duration of your stay. As we said earlier, marijuana is legal here. It's not legal everywhere. You don't want to have trouble in customs if you use those products. Be sure you're not taking them abroad. If you are using birth control, make sure you have enough to take with you as well. If you have medications, take them abroad in their original containers, right? You don't want like a baggie with pills in it. That's very suspicious. Put it in the original container so they're not confiscated. And again, most importantly, if you're not feeling well physically or otherwise, be sure to tell someone. AIFS will provide medical care if it's needed. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help, okay? If you do get sick and you're worried about that $50, don't worry about it. You're sick, you need to go to the doctor, your symptoms could get worse. So just don't put things off. Don't ignore how you're feeling physically or